All aboard! All right, people, I already know you don't come here to find out about $900 fragrances. You don't come here to find out about niche fragrances. I do those videos because I like to do them, and I like to do them for the few people that like those videos. But I know why you guys are here. You guys are here to watch me trash fragrances that other people lie to you about for clicks and views. And you guys are here to separate the shills from the actual reviewers pushing out a lot of this stuff. So let's derail a hype train. Let's derail the hype train known as 9 p.m. Rebel. I'm going to bring you a rare actual review because for some odd reason that I don't even know, I've actually worn this fragrance quite a bit. Let me show you the box. Let me show you the packaging and let me explain. This is actually decent packaging for a $40, $50 fragrance. I do like the bottles too. I'm not going to spray this. Well, let me just spray it and show you the atomizer. It's a $50 fragrance. It's doing its job, I guess. It's nothing to write home about. And this fragrance got hyped because a previous fragrance called 9 a.m. Dive was actually really good, especially for the price. But here's the problem. Oh my God, this $50 fragrance, I mean, it punches way above its weight class. It smells like an $80 fragrance. But when I get up and get ready in the morning and it's time to reach for that fragrance, I generally go for like what I consider the best thing I can smell like for that day. I never reach for a fragrance and say, I'm not really into that, but for the price, and then grab it and spray it on, which is why as good of a fragrance as 9 a.m. Dive is, it's hard to reach for this when you have Louis Vuitton Afternoon Swim, when you have two different versions of Invictus Aqua, even Jimmy Choo Aqua. So you don't see a big dent in the 9 a.m. Dive that everybody got so hyped about and what made them so excited about 9 p.m. Rebel. And I think we know the other thing that made them excited about 9 p.m. Rebel. It's cheap, and a bunch of people will watch their little crappy fake reviews on it. Well, I'm going to give you a real review. I even have notes. The perfumer for this is Gael Montero. Who is that? I don't know. It's a $50 fragrance. But it's an Afnan. And Afnan, out of all the trash Middle Eastern fragrance clone houses and companies, they actually tend to do a really good job. And I'm kind of a fan of them. But I'm also honest. And I'm going to be honest when I talk about this fragrance. This fragrance opens up with pineapple, mandarin, and Granny Smith apple. Sounds good. How does that combination smell? It smells like cheap synthetic pineapple. A thick, sugary, god-awful pineapple that may remind you of a fragrance. It reminds me of a fragrance, one I sold about 10 minutes after I sprayed it on my skin. That fragrance was called, let me get my little notes here, Qaid Al-Fursan. It's the little black bottle with the little horsey on it. Oh, that smelled like trash. And the opening, the pineapple that you get, because that's basically what those top notes blend into, a crappy pineapple. The opening smells like trash. Fortunately, that opening, that cheap pineapple, does tend to calm down. And it's there throughout the whole fragrance, but it doesn't smell so cheap and awful after about maybe 15, 20 minutes. When the other notes kind of blend in. When they say well blended, I don't think this is a particularly well blended fragrance. And the rest of the notes are going to be cedar wood, vanilla, oak moss, ambergris, dry wood, caramel, and musk. And some of those are actually blended well together. You do get a very cheap synthetic oak moss, and I don't mind a cheap synthetic oak moss. Some of them are done really good. I like the oak moss in here. You get a lot of woods. So it kind of smells different. If you're familiar with these Middle Eastern colognes, you already know like it's some kind of a mix between an amber wood and like a cheap oud. And as it dries down, it gets like, it exchanges the sweetness almost from that cheap pineapple to this like caramel and vanilla. That's when it gets a lot better. It finally, after taking you through levels of crappiness, becomes somewhat of a decent fragrance. Obviously, I've worn it enough to make a review on it. And overall, my take on it is, when are you people going to realize reality? The reality is you get what you pay for in this world. Mostly. There are outliers. You are going to find hidden gems like 9 a.m. dive. You are going to find, I wore a Bahara King the other day. That was a really good fragrance. Some Arabian Swiss, I think the company's name is. Those fragrances are $30, and I found a couple of those that are really good. But for the most part, 90% of the time in the real world, you get what you pay for. You're not going to smell this and say, is that a Mason Francis Kirkjohn? It's an Afnan, a $50 Afnan, and it smells like a $50 Afnan. And that's okay, because when you charge $50 and deliver $50 worth of fragrance, they've done their job. It's a decent cheapie. If you want a pineapple heavy, super sweet, Baccarat Rouge type of fragrance, this is probably going to be your bag. And a lot of what they're delivering for that $50 is going to be the performance and projection. You seen how hesitant I was to spray it in this room? Because this room's going to smell like that one spray all day. The fragrance is just absolute beast mode. Beast mode, cat, activate! And the longevity, you couldn't kill this thing with fire. The thing lasts and lasts and lasts. When I sprayed it on my arms, it lasted maybe like over 12 hours. On my chest under a shirt, I smelled it the next day. Like a 24-hour fragrance if you spray it underneath your clothes. So you cheapy guys, you rack store guys, you kind of looking for those little hidden gem guys, those bargains, you're probably going to be pretty happy with this. Niche heads, vintage guys, avoid this thing. But for you cheapy guys, I think you'll be all right with Afnan 9 p.m. Rebel. But the hype train for just a fragrance that's kind of meh is absolutely ridiculous. I got it with this. No, not this. If what I have described to you is interesting to you as far as the notes, like if you love that cheap horsey pineapple owl blah 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 blah, whatever the hell it was called, you'll love this. You guys blind buy that all day. You cheapy guys, go ahead and blind buy that all day. You vintage guys smelling like pickle juice because the notes have turned on that 28-year-old fragrance that you just bought off eBay. You ain't gonna like this. You ain't gonna like it. Niche guys ain't gonna like it. Old people probably ain't gonna like it.
No, sir, I don't like it.
I'm gonna give this a score, and keep in mind, if I ever do actually do another review, my score is not going to be based on price, because like I said earlier, I don't reach for things because they're well priced or, ooh, this is a bargain. I reach for them based on the smell. So I'm going to give this a rating just solely based on the smell. And I'm going to give 9 p.m. Rebel a 5 out of 10. It's okay. It's decent. It's wearable. It's strong. You don't have to wait for it to even hit a rack store because it's only $50 right now. It's just another example of you get what you pay for. And if you pay $40-50, you should expect a 5 out of 10 fragrance. If you're lucky, 6 out of 10. If you find an absolute banger or a legendary fragrance, maybe 7 out of 10. But these hype trains of what they're selling you, that's just not the way the world works.